I'm Brandon Miller, and you are listening to Coach. This weekly series dives deep into the world of Clifton strengths and how they impact your daily life. Hear from certified strengths coaches on the ins and outs, quirks, and characteristics of all 34 strengths and 4 domains and how they play out in real life. Let's get started. Okay, and here we are. I want to welcome Micah Lorenc to the podcast, Coach to Coach. Micah is coming to us. You are today, where you're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I have in my mind San Antonio, Texas.
Used to be Texas.
Because that's where you and I met. You were in Texas. And all right. And Micah is going to bring us the strength of positivity today. But Micah, for the benefit of our listeners in the Coach to Coach world, tell us what you're doing, who you're doing it for, how it's going for you.
So my name is Micah Lorenc. I started my own company about 3 years ago, quit my corporate job of about 11 years to start my own thing, and got into definitely a lot of Clifton strengths coaching. So my business now consists of executive coaching, where we leverage the Clifton strengths in just about everything we do. I do a lot of leadership and team development, where Clifton Strengths is all in that as well. And I do culture consulting. It's been something that I've been adding to my repertoire of business over the last year and a half or so, as it's something that I've found I have a lot of interest in and have created some really cool business products around. So those are kind of the makeup of my business right now. But man, I'll tell you, it took me 11 years of working in the corporate world to realize that I wasn't leveraging my strengths before it occurred to me that it was time to move on and try something on my own. And it couldn't have been a better decision. I'll never go back to working for someone else.
That is a big statement. And dear listeners, I hope some of you today thinking similar thoughts as Micah just said, that there was this, would you say a calling, almost a calling out?
Yeah.
Like there's more to you. There's something more important for you to be doing, and there's a risk involved. And the path from here to there does involve some risk. You have to put some things on the line. And I know that you're a family man. And I know that with the responsibility of husband, father, provider, protector, that's a big move 3 years ago, walking away from corporate to independent business. Can you tell us a little about that? Because we're gonna weave in positivity here in a second to that, because it had to play.
Oh yeah, and you nailed why maybe it took me as long as it did to go out on my own, because I think I probably knew for 5 or 6 years during my corporate job that I would work for myself at some point. But because I'm a family man, I have 3 kids. My wife and I decided that she would stay home and raise our kids as a stay-at-home mom, which in truth is more work than her working, going off and getting a full-time job or a part-time job. And for the stability of our family, I delayed doing my own thing because I felt like what was right for my family at the time. And so I kind of made this intentional sacrifice. I told myself I'm going to sacrifice some career joy in order to provide for my family. And then as my youngest, so I have 3 kids, as my youngest got a little bit older, I started asking the question, maybe there's a way I can have both. Can I have career joy and stability for my family? And that was when I really started to explore, what would it look like if I were to start my own thing and try to provide for my family in a way that energizes me and makes me happy.
So we're talking about positivity today, and there's so many places I want to go with what you just said. And I want to start with this. When you think about positivity as one of your top 5 strengths, I have had occasion to hear people describe positivity as almost a non-strength. Like it's this amazing attitude, perspective. Sure, these are happy people. They're uplifting. They're nice to be around. But is that really a strength? And it's almost downplayed. And I've always thought of that as, wow, you're missing it. You are missing this strength is amazing. This strength has such resilience, such resonance with people, such an ability to attract. I would count positivity as one of the strongest crossover strengths of all 34. its ability to influence and pull in while building bridges and connecting, allowing a person to think above the pale of the problem, right? So there's a problem, and this strength allows them to go above the problem, to see above it, to see an outlook that says there's something more here. And if I spend enough time looking, I'll find an answer out. I'll find a way through.
You know what that makes me think of too is that I've had conversations with people who, like you, well, or like me, that have the positivity strength, have been accused of being naive. And I love the way that you just framed the positivity strength. And this is what I say to people that I'm coaching with positivity is that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're naive or that you're looking for the good in things so that you don't have to deal with reality. I think that there's actually a really good grasp on the reality of a situation when you have positivity, but it's almost like you choose to find the good. You choose to see and genuinely believe this can still work out. And it's not that I'm ignoring the reality of the situation or the gravity of a situation. I see what's going on here too. I'm not being naive to it, but I genuinely believe we can come out of it and see the bigger picture or push through what sucks about it now and get to the good. And I love the way that you framed that. I think that's absolutely true.
I'm going to add to that because I like the word gravity. I have worked with many people with high positivity, and you're right. It isn't that they don't see the problems. It isn't that they don't feel the weight of the problem. What I've watched them do, and it is powerful, is they just put more weight on the answer, the solution. They lean heavier to, sure, this is difficult. This is hard. We might use the word, it sucks. It's taking from me, it's drawing. But I'm going to choose to put more of my weight over on the answer, the optimism to get there, because my attitude will affect my ability to get through this. And I can sour my attitude, or I can apply my attitude, which is the one thing you can control, right? You can't control many things in this world. Attitude is one you can. And positivity, folks, because I love the vortex you all create. You can create a space by which you can pull others into your space, put them on your back, and say, yes, it's hard, but it gets harder if all we think about is hard.
You know what's hard for people or challenging for people with high positivity though, and I've had to recognize this as I've matured the strength in myself, is it's almost like you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I want to put people on my back sometimes and say, I'll take care of this for a little bit. But sometimes they don't want to get on. And that's what's really hard for someone with high positivity is I've had to learn to slow down with the positivity and back off a little bit and let people mourn what they're mourning. Like be where they are for a little bit, deal with simmer in some negativity and experience what they're experiencing. I don't want to push them through what they're experiencing quicker than they're ready. But sometimes I genuinely lack empathy if it's taking too long. If I feel like they're living or dwelling in that negativity for too long. And I'm like, look, I gotta go. I gotta move on. I'd love to take you with me, hop on. And sometimes they just want to stay and dwell. And it's like figuring out, when do I let people be that for themselves or achieve that for themselves? And then I move on with my life and let them catch up. And when do I really, push them into a new gear and get them on my back and ride the positivity out of the difficulty that they're experiencing? And that's still hard. I still lack some empathy, I think, in how I determine whether my positivity is welcome by other people and when it's not.
I think there's a reality for a high positivity to acknowledge choice. It's choice. I can choose to focus on my positivity strength and leverage it to get where we're going, but I can't choose for you to trust mine. And there is an element there of depth of relationship, I imagine. The people closest to you have learned I'm not freewheeling this. I'm not just hoping. Hope is not my strategy. Hope is an underlying core of the driver of my strategy, but hope isn't the strategy. Positivity gives me the ability to see above the problem and find a path. I still have to go do the work to get there though. And I still have to build a track record, because just because I can see the path doesn't mean I'm going to follow the path, because the path is hard. Out of problems, I've yet to. We're going to come back to this scenario that you face. So here you were making the decision, married, 3 children. I've made the decision. My wife and I have agreed we are going to have a stay-at-home mom, and I am going to be the provider in this context. All respect to the work that stay-at-home moms do. But in that, you made that call. You had to face negativity. You had to face self-doubt. You had to face hardship. You had to face no. No, we won't
All the
hire you,
time.
Micah.
Yep.
No. So if you were Micah's coach, knowing Micah has high positivity, and you were going to coach him through how to leverage that strength and how to watch out for it 3, 4 years ago, when you were getting ready to make this move, what would you say to Micah back then to help him leverage that strength?
Yeah, it's funny. I love that question. I don't think I ever thought about this consciously, but when I am coaching people with high positivity, I think I'm answering this question every time about myself. And it's almost like, because I know where they're coming from, I can put myself in that position and I can watch out for their needs. And that's actually the angle that I take with this is I would coach myself, or I do with other people, on the needs side of positivity. And that just the fact that people with high positivity need positivity. We need to be really careful not to surround ourselves with too many people or influences that will bring criticism or negativity or pessimism. And sometimes those partners can be like, I think somebody with high deliberative would be a great partner for someone with high positivity, because they might see some risks that you wouldn't see as someone with high positivity. But I would be careful not to spend too much time around people that are going to drag down that optimism and that hope that you naturally feel about the way things are going. I actually just last week had a coaching session with a startup founder who, as he talked through everything going on in his life, and I saw that positivity in his top 10, I asked him, are you making space for enough positive influence in your world? Are you having good, positive exchanges with people who lift your energy in addition to you lifting theirs? And I think that's where I spend a lot of focus, and where I would put focus for myself if I were coaching myself 3 or 4 years ago is make sure that you're making space for influences that allow you to get that positivity out and really feel excitement and hope about the things that you're working on, and be careful not to have too many influences that are pessimistic or critical.
You mentioned the contributions and needs by calling out the need side. And so for our listeners, if you've been following along on Coach to Coach, we reference a tool that 34 Strong provides for many folks who work with us called How to Be a Great Teammate to Me. And in this tool, we share the inventory of contributions and needs. And Micah was referencing needs for positivity. And listen to some of these: optimism, uplifting environment, energy, praise, validation, smiles, enthusiasm from others, reciprocity, lightheartedness. And I would add realism. Tell me how it is. And what you're saying, and I love what you said, it's doses, the right dose. So if you were coaching you, it sounds like what you're saying is that I would coach to keep referencing the path and the positivity. Like, keep referencing, this is what you're seeing, here's the challenges, but where are you going? What's that end point? With a steady diet of some, and here's the reality. Here's how it could go wrong. Here's how it could miss. You might not have it as easy as you'd like. It might not turn out the way you hope it would. And in reality, I think we would both agree that's probably real for any strength. Looking at a situation, positivity just has the advantage of seeing more of what could be, seeing more of where this could go, especially when it's paired with its cousin futuristic, right? When it's
Yeah.
paired with futuristic, now we can go to Neverland, right? Now we can go, we can go and go and go and go. And it's the most amazing, uplifting, enthusiastic experience. But that's key, because when we talk about contributions, generous with praise, enthusiastic, eases others, can have the glass half full outlook, encouraging, warm. Would you say you resonate with those, Micah?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that one thing that just from a young age, I had I think my dad told me about a time he did a parent teacher conference with one of my teachers in elementary school, and she said, Micah is a little bit of a class clown, and we've got to work on some timing for him as far as like cracking jokes and making people smile. And the teacher was like, I just have a hard time though because I'm smiling too. And she admitted, she's like, I have a hard time disciplining him because I'm laughing too, or I'm smiling too. And she acknowledged that I brought something to the classroom that was actually really valuable, but that I still was immature enough to know how to bring my positivity, like you said, in doses, but also at the right time. And I still think that's true of anybody with high positivity. You have to figure out what's the dosage amount that's appropriate for the situation, and what's the timing that's appropriate for the situation, because your contribution, or what could normally be considered a contribution to a situation or an environment or a workplace or a team, could actually do some harm if it's not in the right dose or at the right timing. And I feel like my whole life, since my dad gave me that feedback, I've been thinking about and trying to be aware of, am I using this gift in a positive way in the people that are around me and at the right times in the right doses? I love that term. Or is it something I'm forcing on other people because I want it or I crave it? Maybe I'm uncomfortable with the negative situation that's happening right now and I'm cracking a joke. Is that for me, or is that for the best of the people in the environment or in the situation that we're in? And I think that's something that I've seen since early on in my life, that I've tried to manage well since I got that feedback as a kid.
I love it. So much there, listeners, that Micah just unpacked for positivity and wisdom from Mr. Lorenc, Micah's dad,
Yeah.
and from the teacher.
I'm the teacher. Yeah.
The comedic timing of positivity, the right doses to the right people, right? And that timing and that growth. Micah, thank you so much for taking some time to join me on Coach to Coach and talking about the strength of positivity. Listeners, take note. Micah's about to tell you where you can find him. And if you're interested in learning more about his entrepreneurial journey or the work he's doing out there, happen to know personally, Micah comes highly recommended to join on in different efforts. And his culture consulting is super bad. It's amazing. I love hearing about it. And
Thank you.
I know it's still taking shape, but I love the track you're on. So
We're
Micah,
there. Yeah, we're close.
where can folks find you if they want to connect, learn more, or just have a conversation with you?
Yeah, I'll make it simple. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active. I post every weekday, and I'm pretty responsive to messages within a day or two. If I see something come through, I like staying in touch with people there. And I do have a handful of things, culture consulting related, that I'm really excited about that are coming up in the next week, even, that I'm planning to post about. And I'm working on publishing a book. So a lot of fun stuff, hopefully coming out from me in the next few months. But LinkedIn is where you can connect with me, and you'll see all of those details as they happen.
So Micah, you're going to have to tell them how to spell your name.
True.
Because when I say Micah Lorenc, they're probably going to type it in a way that is. So please tell them where to find you.
It's Lorenc. So Micah, I don't even that is sometimes an odd spelling, Micah. And then Lorenc, it's a Czech name. It's not what you would expect when you look at it the first time, but that's Lorenc.
Listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. Mike and I had a great time talking about positivity, his entrepreneurial journey, his family, his dad, his teacher, and culture consulting. So that's Micah Lorenc. You can find him on LinkedIn. And in just a moment, you'll hear a word from our sponsor. But on behalf of Micah and I, thank you for joining us today on Coach to Coach. Micah, take good care.
Thanks, Brandon. You too.
Thank you for tuning in to the Strengths Whisperer Coach to Coach. Please feel free to reach out to Brandon to partner with 34 Strong for collaboration opportunities to serve your employees or clients together. If you are a strengths coach, lead a strengths-based team, or are a fan of strength, we invite you to receive our complimentary resource, How to Be a Good Teammate to Me, Understanding My Contributions and Needs. Email Brandon_Miller at 34strong.com to connect, and he will gladly share this resource that will continue to unlock the power of strength.